This is Sandy. I know Megan knows Sandy, but Jen, I think you're meeting.
Hi, Sandy.
It's good to see you all. And then for our online viewers, because I'm talking to two screens right now, we're going to be live streaming the Action Hour tonight, so you know what that is for our community. It made all this work at Baystaters possible. You can join with the link in our bio if you want to get in on the action and introduce yourself and get to know folks on the call. And then we all take action together to make sure that this campaign keeps its steam and keeps going. So I'm here at the Church of Movers and Shakers. This is Sandy.
Hi, this is the People's Congregation of Shakers and Movers. Hello, everyone.
Hell yeah.
Thank you so much for joining.
They have this beautiful space.
There's Stanley.
There's Stan. So I hope you can join us at the link in our bio. If not, feel free to just watch in. Thanks, everybody.
Oh, yeah, and the church YouTube page. Yay. We've got like 10 screens. So 2022, I love this.
Absolutely. How's your day going, Megan?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here and support. I'm a little under the weather, so I'm gonna do my best. But I'm really excited. I shared the link to sign the petition in a bunch of groups today. So hopefully you'll see some traction.
Heck yeah, thank you so much. That's what gets it done.
Sure.
Hey David, how's it going? Hey Leah.
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, good to see you. You out on a walk?
We're out on the walk. Got the girl.
Aww.
Hey!
Papa.
She's so cute.
Yeah.
Well, glad you could join, my friend.
Yeah, I'm gonna mute and turn off the video, but I'm here.
Awesome, awesome. So for everybody who just joined, we're going to be getting started officially with introductions at 7:05. We just want to give people lots of time to get on and get technical stuff worked out, because it's a challenge.
Do you need some help? Oh, Stan's got you. Stan will get you. We have actual crystal paperweights.
Oh,
can
really?
hold that up. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. That's awesome.
Yay.
Perfect.
So where are we streaming over there? Is that
So this is the Baystaters Instagram page.
Okay, I'm going to share that.
The bane of my existence, but the best way to get in touch with our community, in my experience.
All the social media stuff. Oh, there we go. Perfect.
Right. And then Bella, you're working out that? I'll be here in the chat. Okay, perfect. Perfect. Glad you could join us. So for those of you joining us live, we're waiting a few minutes because, as is so common in life, people just need a little bit of time. We got a big group forming.
Yeah, that was the good thing James and I were talking about today, is like we really leveled up with the technology in the last couple of years, and we could throw something like this together in 2 days, and even if no one comes in person, everyone can join on their phone. It makes it awesome.
Ton of people got COVID.
Well, a ton of people got COVID, and a ton of us have kids to put to bed at this time of night, so I just appreciate anybody that can ping in a friend and, share this information. This is good stuff, so.
Definitely.
All right, Posey. Sorry, I didn't know.
Megan, I love you.
Love it.
That was funny. Whoever didn't mute, somebody kid or something.
Jen yelling at her dog.
Let's see, who else wants to know?
Oh shoot, we're paused. Don't know why my mic. So Sandy, maybe in the meantime, as we give people a few more minutes, glad you could make it. Love the background too.
We actually have somebody just walked in.
Heck yeah.
Hello.
How's it going? You
Hey,
Sam?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Sam. I'm James.
Nice to meet you.
And we are live.
And we're about to get started. So if you wanna join us on the couch, that'd probably be the best spot.
Sure.
Heck yeah. So we have a wonderful reporter joining us, Sam.
We could actually move this out and then maybe move another chair over here.
Can I actually just take a chair?
Yeah.
Yeah, please do. Cool. And he's with WGBH.
Hi.
Hi.
All right, so this is a community action hour, and the first step is to introduce ourselves and really get to the heart of why we care about ending the war on drugs and why we care about plant medicine. So, Jen, without any further ado, would you mind introducing yourself and why you care about this cause? Hey there, Jen.
Yeah, I'm here.
Awesome.
My internet's really slow, so. Hi everyone, my name is Jen. I'm one of the co-founders of Bay Staters along with James. Many reasons why I'm here today. But my story is that when I was 8, I was diagnosed with cluster headaches. When I was 12, I was diagnosed with chronic migraine. I spent a lot of my life being in really bad pain, in and out of doctor's offices, treatments. A lot of the medications they put you on alter your mind. So I had a lot of mental instability throughout these years. I found cannabis when I was 16, and then I was introduced to heroin when I was 17 during a really bad attack that I was having. And I think the person at the time really thought they were doing me a favor, not realizing, what we were playing with. We were teenagers. So I was arrested when I was 17 for cannabis, and I was sent away to a really terrible place. And then when I came back, I stayed sober for a long time off the opiates. When I came back from being in New York, and it wasn't until my mom died that I relapsed on opiates and heroin again. So I struggled for a little bit of time. I don't know how many rehabs I've been in and out of. Anybody that's been in them or knows anybody, they're pretty much designed to fail, because that's where the money is made. So I got really desperate, and I tried to take my life, and I failed. And so at that point, somebody told me about a person doing Ibogaine treatments in Baltimore. So I went down to Baltimore with everything I had, and I had my Ibogaine treatment, which basically, it resets your brain to a pre-addicted state. It's an alkaloid that comes from a tree bark in Africa, and it actually saturates the opioid receptors. It kicks the opioids off, and it saturates them. So it gets rid of a lot of the cravings and withdrawals. It doesn't end your addiction, though. There's a lot of work that's required afterwards. But when I was there, the woman told me about using psilocybin for my cluster headaches and my migraines. And so I got some psilocybin, and for the first time in I don't know how many years, I didn't have a headache for about 9 months. And that was a very life-changing moment for me. That's exactly what I needed in my life. It also helps me to keep on track with my sobriety. It's helped me work through a lot of the trauma and anxiety and depression and things that I've experienced over the years. So having it in my life has also helped me to grow as a person. So although I have to continue to use it several times a year to keep my migraines at bay, it's helping me to figure out where I belong, and feel connected. And I feel now I'm living a life instead of just surviving day to day. So I believe that right now we're in a critical point. Big Pharma's trying to cash in on this, and they're trying to get their grips on it. So we need to really just move fast and take this out from underneath them, because this is ours. They've already kind of stolen cannabis here in this state, and it should have been the little guy that was making it, not the big one, and instead we're not. And I think that we need to do that for psychedelics, not even just to cash in, but just to make sure that people have what they need accessible. So, and I'm also here to educate anybody that wants to know anything about whatever they want about this subject.
Well, thank you, Jen, for all your courage with all these efforts too. Wouldn't have been possible without you. And I want to kick it over to Sandy next, if you want to introduce why you care. And yeah.
Oh, sure. Hi, guys. My name is Sandy. I missed that light so blown out.
Yeah. Totally.
I am the founder of the People's Congregation of Shakers and Movers, and also Irie Bliss Wellness. And all of my brands and all of my mission has to do with raising the vibration, using plant medicine, using natural modalities for healing, and all of these things I feel like should be taught in elementary school, and they're not. And I was the kid that was like, hemp can save the world. You can make absolutely anything from it. So I've been doing this work since I was 13, because I wrote that first paper as a little mini activist, and I just want to tell as many people as possible about my story, which has a lot to do with postpartum and using plant medicine to combat pretty crazy isolation, depression, and just be a cheerleader for all things that are going to enhance the vibration of Mother Earth and all of us. And yeah, I have so many whys, but that kind of sums it up. James, thank you.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we are at the People's Congregation of Movers and Shakers.
Shakers and movers.
Shakers and Movers. I'll get it right eventually. I mess up everyone's business names like anytime they're involved. So thanks, Sandy, for
Thank you.
hosting us. And I'm going to kick it over to V. Would you mind introducing yourself briefly? We have a lot of amazing people, so unfortunately we got to keep it a little short. Not your whole life story, just why you're so passionate about this work. And you're muted.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi there.
Just hopping on here. So, my name is Vivat Gonzalez. I work in treatment and I am a psychedelic coach as well. So, I'm a proponent for the use of plant medicine and psychedelics in general to help people to overcome their mental health issues. And substance use is one of them. And yeah, that's just something I'm really passionate about. So, yeah. Trying to keep it short for you. If you have
Oh,
questions.
that's great. That's great. Thanks, V. And Carol Ann, would you mind telling us what brought you to this work and what's kept you as an amazing volunteer?
Hello, I think I'm on now. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Great. Hi, I'm Carol Ann, if I haven't met any of you. Hi. I am the daughter of a retired Worcester, inner city firefighter. And so from my experience growing up, watching my dad try to heal his traumas from that, my own healing journey, and now my husband is a disabled veteran, and so watching his journey, so the combination of my journey, my husband's journey, and my father's journey is kind of what led me down the path of becoming a holistic life coach and connecting together my healing journey with my experiences with psychedelics, and so now I'm passionate about helping other people be able to access that information too.
Hell yeah, and thank you for all your help over the past year. Carol Ann is her husband's a veteran, but she's a veteran of this work, so thank you for everything you've been doing. Natalie has been just really excited to volunteer and just find out how she can make connections for us and connect with people on this issue. So Natalie, would you mind introducing yourself?
Sure, good to meet everyone. I have had a background in entrepreneurship and tech, and in my personal journey have kind of been introduced to psychedelics as it relates to anxiety and other mental health, and just feel very passionate about using my skill set to impact the mental health space, and just trying to figure out my way into this world to make the highest impact. So happy to connect with anyone here who that resonates with.
Well, thank you so much, Natalie, and really excited to go up and educate some of our lawmakers in Boston relatively soon. So we'll keep you in the loop on that. So, Cosmos, if that's not just your Google Meet name, we would love to know why you care about this topic. I think we're meeting you for the first time. And you're muted, too. Classic. Well, I think we may have lost Cosmos to the internet. It's such a common thing. It happens all the time. So, Erin, would you mind introducing yourself? Oh.
Hey guys.
Hello, can
Oh,
you
she's
hear me?
back. Cosmo's back. All right, Erin, we're putting you on the bench for now. She's back.
I had to change my settings to allow the audio. But basically, I'm a young entrepreneur.
You're introducing yourself.
Me and Abel, who is also in here, we have a company called Psyche, which supports independent artists. And I also am the founder of an NGO called PsychArt, which strives to help people deal with mental health illness and through psychedelics and other types of plant medicine. I suffer from several diseases, including endometriosis, so I've been learning to heal my body with plants such as hemp and weed and mushrooms for my PTSD and things like that. And so we are trying to open a healing center at Bella's barn. Bella is also in the chat here. And so we just wanted to form a connection with you guys and see how we can set up maybe workshops and things like that for people who want to do therapy with natural healing.
Heck yeah, thank you for all that incredible work, and so glad that you could make it as well, Bella. Where are you both based out of in the state?
We're in Amherst.
Perfect. So we'll talk about this a little bit later, but on Monday we had this big vote scheduled, and then last second one of the town councilors wanted more information and delayed by a couple weeks, which is really sad for some of our student leaders. But I know they'll keep up the pressure and we'll make it happen soon. And I wanted to turn it over to Leah, who's been an amazing podcaster and supporter of this work, and yeah, one of our student leaders in Amherst that's getting it done. So would you mind introducing yourself?
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Leah. I have a podcast called Canna Chicks Podcast that was made to destigmatize plant medicines. So I interview people who use it for their different conditions, to spread that knowledge and education, and that's pretty much what I do all the time. I just research a ton, and I'm super passionate about helping other people and finding different ways to, open their mind and help with mental health and all of that. So.
Hell yeah, best podcast in town, except hers.
Yeah.
You gotta fight it out. And then Aaron, would you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, hey guys, I'm Aaron. So I'm a pretty recent member, but
Charlie.
I
Nice to
really
meet you. I'm
like learning
James.
about
Hi,
indigenous knowledge of edible and
muted, by the
medicinal
way, so-
plants.
Okay.
I do a lot of work with mushrooms, so I'm just really interested in this work and want people to be able to use the medicines safely and make them more accessible.
Heck yeah, and South Shore, glad you could make it. Thanks a ton, Aaron. Megan, I'm just picking it random. I'm not picking favorites, but Megan is a favorite. So, would you mind telling us about yourself?
Hi everyone. Hell yeah. I want to be really brief, but I just don't even know what to say. I'm really sick. I was really sick last week, and then I'm sick again this week, so I'm sort of like cramped. But I did some trauma work last year, and using psychedelics, and it was the first thing that moved my trauma after, I don't know, 20 years of trying different modalities. And I opened a wellness center a couple months ago in Quincy, on the South Shore, just right south of Boston. So I'm really excited about some ketamine therapy. It's really ketamine coaching is legally what I can say. And then helping Bay Staters with this fight to get the whole state is going to be really awesome. And yeah, I'm just really excited about this space and helping people, like, what all you have said, that all the clients that come to me with mental health, I help people like microdose and stuff too, which is, like, I have the amazing, testimonials like you sent today, James, of just people like, I can't even tell you. I'm like, it was only a microdose. They're like, I'm forever changed. I'm myself now. And I was like, whoa, like, point one? I was like, all right, let's do this. So it's really exciting, and I'm happy to be part of the community.
Well, thank you for all your help, Megan, and for posting that tool around to help with that bill that's going to raise all boats, right? Because there's plenty of people suffering out there. We need thousands and thousands of entrepreneurs to tackle this problem and offer people choice. And don't want to mess up your name. I just learned it.
Charlene.
I want Charlene to be able to introduce herself because she made it in person, unlike all of you all. For shame.
Everyone's sick. Everyone's sick.
Well, everyone's sick too.
So, hey guys, hi. I'm just kind of jumping in here. I am I had my last day on campus today at Bridgewater State, getting my bachelor in health studies with a minor in nutrition. And really, like, complementary alternative medicine is my passion. And, you know, I've learned so much from just suffering my own sicknesses and healing the battles, and I'm just eager to share my journey and what I've learned and help people. And yeah, that's
Hell
it.
yeah. Congrats on your bachelor's too. That's awesome.
Yeah.
A lot of work.
Yes, yeah.
And then, wow, we're actually making great time on introductions, like, despite having such an amazing and large group. So, Slater, I know you don't always go by Slater, from what I take it, but you go by Slater with me. So, would you mind introducing yourself and the amazing work you do putting together events?
Okay, there we go.
Mm.
Hi, my name is Sam. I also go by Slater. What's up, Amber? It's been so long since I've seen you. You know, psilocybin has, like, many times just, like, taken my traumas and thrown them in my face to a point where I couldn't ignore the conversations I needed to be having with myself. And I guess for the sake of brevity, I guess that's what kept me coming back to things like this. And then, you know, the idea of getting plant medicine decriminalized in the state is massive. And I dig it and, like, love to see it and do what I can to help. I'm a event promoter. I arrange musical events, hoping that maybe we could, like, set up a cool, like, celebration concert for the Amherst resolution. I think that'd be super fun. And yeah, I'm just here to do what I can, and just support positivity and great strides in our accomplishments.
Awesome, and thank you for all your help early on at Amherst, and for your enthusiasm to put together those events, because that in-person community is just, like, irreplaceable, and really excited to see what venues you'll find us and how we can make awesome parties happen. So the problem with all of you being so awesome is that you keep multiplying, and we keep getting more and more and more people joining. So let's kick it over to Manuela, if you don't mind very briefly introducing yourself. You are a person of multitudes, but we only need a few of those tudes, unfortunately, so we can keep the action hour going.
Hi, I hardly ever am able to make this meeting because I'm a therapist, and I usually see people in person canceled, and so I'm able to be part of the meeting. I would love to be to participate a lot more. I think that, you know, my history in working in decriminalization in Portugal and my current job with the Life Center and my wish to work and help people, and also my history of seeing a lot of what's going on and having tried a lot of these medicines. I'm here and I'm really excited for you, so thank you.
Thank you, Manuela, for all your work too. I'm really excited to talk about our facilitator program. Okay, who have we missed? Abel, Mr. Sanchez, are you available to introduce yourself?
Nice to meet you all. My name is Abel. I'm trying to run a company right now to try and help support psychedelics for therapy use, and trying to help, like, independent artists maintain their creative freedom.
Such a great angle, an amazing angle. Thanks for joining. Really glad to meet you. Catherine, I know that we've interacted quite a bit, but it's good to see you. And you've got an amazing pillar behind you. I don't know if it's real or your background, but yeah, would you mind introducing yourself?
Hey, I hope I'm the only Catherine. Usually there's multiple. But, so I am studying to be a social worker, and I'm really interested in learning more about plant medicine in the social work capacity. It's still kind of a little bit on the on the outskirts of social work, but I think there's so much potential. So I'm just excited to learn and be here. So thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for all the hard work it takes to be a social worker. One of the hardest jobs around, so it speaks volumes of you that you're pursuing that. And just want to introduce new friend here, if you don't mind telling us why you care about this cause.
Oh gosh. Hi, my name's Anna. I teach chair yoga here, and why is it? It's important because personally for me, I grew up with a stigma around it, and it's been such a hard stigma that it's one of the challenges I face on a daily basis, and so it's something that I want to break through. I think that plant medicine has huge potential, and the only way that we're going to be able to see change and research and be able to get that research and the money for funding for research is to do this. So,
Amen to that.
So well said. Yeah,
Mhm.
I need to do chair yoga too. Sounds complicated. And I think that's everyone important, but we also have David. So I guess we should also let David go.
Thanks, Al. Great to hear your stories. My name is David, and I guess that I am also here with Bay Staters because my first experience with psychedelics was after freshman year of college, and I had so many really interesting insights into science and religion, which were two topics I was studying at the time, and didn't really feel like I could share them with others, just given the stigmas associated with them, or just my experience in general. And then spending the better part of the last 10 years dealing with PTSD and chronic health issues related to Lyme disease, I found psychedelics to be helpful in terms of working through, I guess, the residual effects of those traumas, both physical and psychological. And so I think that there's a lot of benefit to be had for a lot of individuals who suffer from chronic health issues, and when there aren't other solutions that folks can find, I think it's really great to have an open mind and try new things, and whatever we can do to diminish the barriers of access and stigmatization for these substances, I think is something that could really cause a transformative health change. And seeing the example that James and Jen and other Bay Staters have set, with their sharing their stories and all their advocacy work, is really inspiring. So I just feel grateful to be here with such wonderful, amazing, and passionate, caring people. So thanks for being here.
And thank you, David, for all your hard work. It wouldn't have been possible without you and the awesome Worcester team like Carol Ann and Jen locking it down for Worcester County. And so now that everyone has introduced themselves, knock on wood that I didn't forget anyone, this is the stage of the Community Action Hour where I'm just going to give an overview of where we are statewide in terms of the advocacy efforts, and then also introduce this idea of the facilitator network that is launching next month, and how you can not only be a part of it, you can help lead it, because this is always going to be a grassroots project, and that's what's going to make these efforts ultimately successful. So for starters, Amherst almost made history. Isn't that a great slogan? Almost making history on Monday, because the measure would not just decriminalize possession of all controlled substances, because we believe in harm reduction and referring people to help, It would have decriminalized the psychedelic plants, growing and distributing them, and then decriminalized the production of all controlled substances at our universities. And so the idea behind that concept is tryptamines like LSD and its analogs, MDMA and its analogs, 5-MeO-DMT. These are compounds that also have tremendous healing properties, and that our world-renowned universities in Massachusetts should be able to pilot, produce, and also test for people so that you don't have kids at concerts turning blue in the face and dying of needless overdoses. We're in a public health emergency where we should not tolerate for a second the status quo when it's the #1 cause of death for people under the age of 45, and it's growing. So it's unacceptable to not do anything, and Bay Staters rose up about a year and a half ago, all grassroots, to pass these measures in Somerville, Cambridge, East Hampton, Northampton, and Amherst in a couple weeks as we keep the pressure on there. So that's an overview of our local work. We also have city councilors privately supported in Boston, in Medford, and in Salem. We're always eager to add new campaigns as well. We just need to get you all trained up to help lead them, because a few of the core organizers, Jen and myself, really want to focus on building out the network and getting people the direct care they need, because we've gotten to that step where we've shown we can decriminalize cities. Now let's actually start healing people. We've created that space to do that, so let's make it happen. So our state bill, which would really just be the gold standard for drug reform around the United States, will allow people to really affordably become a facilitator. They don't have to have an expensive master's degree. They just have to have basic training and safety and facilitation and a background check. Let's get people in this business so they can start helping others heal. They also need to be part of a nonprofit or a business that has at least one licensed professional, like a social worker for you, Catherine, or a therapist for you, Manuela. So those professionals are still going to be part of the conversation in how we shape the facilitator system. So I wanted to open up questions about the facilitation system we're pioneering. With Bay Staters launching next month, we're going to provide free training. We do the background check for you, make it super easy to be onboarded, and then you just go out and find clients. There's technically nothing illegal about a client asking you to sit with them and hold space with them, as long as they're signing a nice little document we have that says you're not providing them the controlled substance, you're not acting as a doctor, and they're accepting that there are risks involved in their choice to use psilocybin mushrooms, for example. So wanted to open the door to questions and start the conversation there. Manuela? You're muted.
Hi. I'm, as a licensed clinical social worker in various states in Massachusetts, I really need to look at if I'm going to do it in an open, and I guess I am doing it in an open venue, but I need some, what is, can it come after, can I get, because I'm assisting with someone, do I have to do it in a city that has been already decriminalized? I'm confused.
It's a great question.
I don't want to be underground, it's like,
Yeah. It's a great question. So our decriminalization measures are not the final step, right? I mean, it shifts the culture in this area. It makes people more excited. It gets law enforcement out of investigating, out of putting any resources toward these arrests. However, what we're doing would be legal in Weymouth that isn't decriminalized, or Worcester that isn't decriminalized, really anywhere, as long as that client is certifying, signing the release form saying, like, you didn't give them the controlled substance. You're also not acting in the capacity of a therapist. We're not creating therapists. The vision is, since psychedelic journeys are mostly on the inside anyway, people are doing internal consciousness exploration. They don't need someone to talk to them the whole time. They just need someone who can kind of walk them through what it's going to be like, set goals for integration after, and bring them water and blankets during the experience, and knowing how to navigate difficult situations. So that's the vision. We recommend that people after that facilitation go see a therapist, or go see, continue their mental health care in other ways, because it's not trying to replace that, it's trying to complement that system. And as long as the client is comfortable, having that liability waiver that protects the trip sitter and protects the nonprofit, there won't be any legal issues with that type of system. Questions about the state bill, about other efforts, about mushrooms? Literally just open book. I don't want to talk the whole time either, so I'd love it if Carol Ann started arguing, Leah started arguing Natalie, and it just becomes a crossfire, right?
I have a question.
Yep.
How do we, when it comes to being in the position of facilitating and helping someone go through their process, is there support for us to support a situation where someone goes into a bad, can you...
Is there a number to call?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Is there a hotline? Obviously, it's not like you would, call. I mean, who would you call?
Yeah.
How would it be handled? It's like in a city that isn't. It's not. Where it's not.
You don't want to call the cops necessarily.
Right. So how would you manage a situation like that, and then how do we protect ourselves and the client?
Sure, absolutely. So, did everyone hear the question? Any thumbs up? Okay, so I'm going to restate the question to some degree. So what would we do in a city that isn't decriminalized, where someone starts to have a really uncomfortable experience, or a so-called bad trip, where they're flipping out, they're not having a good time on mushrooms? So the first thing about our facilitator network is we're here to turn people down. We're actually here to tell a lot of people that psilocybin is not for them and the LSD is not for them. I think it should be affordable for all. That's the value of our group. But we also want to make clear that people who have had adverse experiences with psilocybin before, or with cannabis before, or recently have been hospitalized for their mental health, they're not the candidates that we're looking for at this stage in building this network. We're looking for people who are going to be able to have a more therapeutic and calm experience. That being said, if something does go wrong, we have amazing trainings that people in the group have already provided for free. tinyurl.com/BSNM trainings, it's on the website too, free forever. And there's very specific things we can do to calm people down. Having an agreement with the client before, like if you do start to feel uncomfortable, who should I call? What level of touch is acceptable? Making it clear to the client that you want them to stay indoors if they're feeling uncomfortable, and then just reminding them, like, this experience is going to pass, like it's going to be over soon, I just need you to remain here and remain calm, just having mantras that help soothe them. And there's going to be situations where people feel really uncomfortable. It's a very intense spiritual experience, but hopefully with that type of preparation work for the client, we're going to avoid that. Because I want to indict the status quo. The status quo, we don't have any facilitators, willing to do this work. We just have people not even weighing their mushrooms, just eating them, right? So that's a much bigger problem that we're fixing in the status quo with the facilitator network, is preventing people from freaking out and steering people away if they're not a good candidate. Yeah.
So, in your answer, and obviously, in a situation like this, it's good to create a relationship, or like how much time do you spend with someone? Like, for example, you know, I do yoga therapy, and so when I'm one-on-one with a client, you know, we take the time to, you know, fill out an intake form, get to know, you know, what they're there for, what their goals are, and getting to a point where the client really, you know, you're in that active listening state and creating the trust with your client. So what is, you know, what is the status quo, or what is the protocol to take you in that route?
So the protocol would definitely be to have a screening call where you're like figuring out like, is this going to be best for them? And then it's really, we're going to leave it up to the trip sitters because they're not employees. There'll be a contractor that doesn't have to pay any of their earnings back to the nonprofit. You can choose to if you want. But we can't like dictate exactly how that process looks, which is probably for the best because I think it'll look different depending on the client too. But you're absolutely right that like that
It's that
rapport,
vibe, you know?
yeah. And hopefully, because we'll have that platform for everyone who wants to be a healer, who's completed this background check and gone through these steps where we know they're going to do a good job, the client's finding you, right? They'll see a small bit of your story or your background. They'll see a piece of you, and they'll feel that, right? Just being able to choose who you have this experience with versus the conventional mental health care system where we have this huge shortage, huge wait lists, and people don't always get to pick the person, right? So that's the type of system we're trying to create where you definitely have that strong rapport, and we can provide ongoing training on how to like, and learn, you know, together the best way to do that intake.
Yeah, because even when you work with a therapist, that you don't always click with a therapist.
Right.
You know, and
Definitely.
you know, it's just finding the experience. You know, when you know it, you may not necessarily know what you need, but it's really clicking with the other person and knowing, putting the client in the most comfortable state to go through that process, and to, I think, trust, right, and creating that trust between you and the client so they have the best experience possible.
Totally.
And then knowing that it's not always going to be that great experience. It's like, you know, they're slaying their dragons, per se.
Yes.
So
Can everyone hear her, by the way? I needed to do a check. Okay, great. Because she's saying amazing things. I want everyone to be able to hear.
So I guess so.
I have a question.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Megan?
I have a question about it because I'm not licensed and I don't really plan on it. I don't think I really want to.
Good. Great.
So, I mean, I'm interested, and I know other people in this space too that are, and which I think is this other movement. Like, I'm trained as a shamanic practitioner, so I do ceremonial work. What's your take, or like, I'm kind of bummed.
Oh, so you're included in this too, Megan. You don't have to have a license. So the law that we are pushing for at the state level, if you do have a license, if you're a social worker, if you're a drug treatment specialist, if you already have a license with the state, like Jen, nurse, you can just become a facilitator. You don't have to do any more jumping through hoops. You can just become one. But if you're not one of those licensed individuals, you just need to work with a company or a nonprofit that has one of them in leadership. And then complete a background check, first aid, and training. Just a little bit of training for us, and we're going to guarantee that for free for life. The alternative to that is a system like Oregon, where it's quasi-medicalized, and they're requiring tens of thousands of dollars of training to become a facilitator. We want our existing healthcare professionals to be a part of this system and not risk their license educating people. But we also just look at this system and say, hey, we need a bigger supply of people who can do this facilitation work. Like, we're not going to be able to meet the scale of this public health emergency with depression, PTSD, and addiction unless we have, you know, these facilitators that can act adjacent to the mental health care system and honestly make our mental health care system more effective. I hope that answers your question, Megan. I'm happy to chat more in depth, and we'll have a more in-depth meeting about the facilitator network too. David?
Sure, and maybe this is getting into the weeds, but one thing I was just thinking of is, if we are going to be creating this network of individuals providing, trip sitting services, I think that one thing that could set us, apart would also be offering like 24-hour like care, like having an experienced sitter like on call or something like that. That just might be a great way to make folks feel a little bit more assured that if they are dealing with a challenging situation, they can call in and have someone who has, significant experience with that to help coach them through it. So I don't know, that was just something that came to mind that might be worth sharing.
It's an amazing idea, and Fireside Project has pioneered that to some degree as well, where you can call. The goal for us, though, is not, I think lots of people have these experiences alone. A lot of us have, and they can be just as therapeutic. But for those that are really new to psychedelics, having that guide can be everything. It can mean a world to people. So I think you're right. And this is where we want to set up a board within the nonprofit that certifies people and decertifies people, that sets these protocols, that advises these protocols, because eventually we want to have a built-in accountability mechanism within. Another thing to consider is it takes a lot out of you to be a trip sitter. Like I trip sat for someone earlier this week. They've been through a lot. Like they've had a lot of pain. And has anyone seen The Green Mile? Yeah. Do you know that scene where the guy sucks the bees out of the person? To some degree, that they call it transference in therapy. There's transference between our emotions and our traumas, right? Especially in that type of intimate facilitation context. So a lot of therapist networks actually have their own circles to unpack their experiences sitting with clients, because that can also be draining. So we want Bay Staters to be able to also offer that service to our facilitators, where they can sit and decompress with each other, where they can share tips and tricks that they're learning, share their notes, and honestly set up amazing research as well, because there's so much we still don't fully understand. The client I sat with, not really a client, I didn't charge her. It's weird to call her a client, like a new friend. She, the mushrooms didn't affect her. She didn't have a trip, but she woke up the next morning feeling unbelievable relief. So it worked somehow to some degree, and having that follow-up and that data anonymized without their names is going to be really useful for this movement. So I see Leah's hand is up, and then Manuela's hand. Let's go to our Amherst hero first.
So, I was going to ask, where are we going to get the mushrooms, and how are our clients going to get it?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we're not that concerned. That's why we're trying to decriminalize and pass the state law, right? So we teach classes on how to grow legal mushrooms. All mushrooms are grown the same way, but Bay Staters itself can't encourage illegal activity. But I think it's not a stretch to say that clients who are coming to our events can meet people who grow psilocybin mushrooms, that people who come and stick around or learn how to grow their own can get a supply, and that maybe some facilitators will have a supply. We just can't specifically endorse the facilitator giving them to the client in question. The client needs to sign an agreement saying clearly that they didn't get the controlled substance from the facilitator. They're a contractor for Bay Staters, so that's our expectation. But we might not be able to stop it. So our goal is that we change the culture enough to where you won't have any snooping or people really worried about that. And then we do need to fix the state law, just so all of this is clear cut and ready to go. Our state law would allow people to grow more mushrooms than you could ever possibly need in your own home. So we set the limits really high on decriminalizing these plant medicines, so people could eventually grow their own. my theory is that the mushroom market's going to be flooded. I think higher quality growers are going to still be able to turn some revenue. And once we get better testing of psilocybin and these amazing innovations, but I do think it's going to be very accessible in the next few years. It's just going to be difficult in the meantime, which is why, you know, I certainly hope a lot more people start growing their own and experimenting, or know a friend who is experimenting, especially in these decriminalized cities where it's there's a lot more certainty. So I hope does that answer your question, Leah? Yeah, awesome. And Manuela?
So my question is, I'm trying to formulate it in such a way that makes sense. So Bay Staters becoming, I guess, a non-profit, if you're going to have a board, if you're going to have a structure that is organized so that you can provide support, and that becomes sometimes onerous, and you have to get lawyers involved, you have to get all kinds of structures, and I mean, I've been around the nonprofit world to know that is that structure being created, or is it already on the way? Is it already created, and how do we get in?
Yeah, so we learned a lot, Jen, myself, and others, when we tried to create Carol Ann, learned a lot when we tried to create a nonprofit the last time. We're just going to keep the nonprofit very limber. So it's a board of directors of 3 folks. It's myself, Jen, and Tyler Prohaska, who runs an amazing nonprofit in school in Taiwan, one of my dearest friends. We just wanted the people on the board to really share the vision of just making this as affordable and accessible for all. Honestly, the law we're advocating at the state level is going to like stab this nonprofit in the back. like literally, I think this nonprofit, if it was aiming to maximize revenues, we would not be advocating for everyone else to be able to flood the market and become competition. But that's really what Bay Staters fundamentally was about, is making this medicine as accessible, safe as possible. The reason why we decided to go the nonprofit route is because we have to have the money to host events. A lot of it's been me paying out of pocket, or like Carol Ann paying a little out of pocket, or Jen paying a little out of pocket, or just all these amazing volunteers all contributing a little, but then it becomes really murky when we're trying to hold bigger events or raise revenue with grow kits to make it easier for people to start. We eventually want to fundraise enough money for a space where people can drop by and get these materials, and also our trip sitters, our facilitators, would have access to that space whenever they wanted it for free, to decompress with a client, to do integration with a client. So that's the vision there. And Jen, I see you got your hand raised. And then Sam, you got your hand raised too. So.
Yeah, so one of the things I want to say is that our main goal at this point is to set a standard. We're trying to show the state that this can be done without bringing in medicalization of it, without making licensed therapists, licensed providers have to go through 100 or 1,000 plus hours of training, spend several $1,000s of money. And I've spoken to several people who've gone through the training and said it really wasn't, they didn't learn a whole lot more than what they've already known. And so we want to prevent this from happening. We want to prevent it from getting in Big Pharma's hands. So by starting this network and showing that we can treat people and we can be effective and we can be safe without all these rules and regulations, and you know, like, there's got to be some structure, but it can't be overregulated. That's what cannabis is right now, and it's a disgraceful industry here in Massachusetts, and it doesn't benefit anybody but the already rich. So we need to stop that from happening to psychedelics. We need to stop it from ending up in the hands of the medical world, which has completely fumbled everything. As a nurse, I can tell you, our medical system fucking sucks. We're one of the worst in the world. We're not making anybody better. And so their goal isn't to make people better. So they're going to get their hands on it, and then they're not going to give it to anybody because they need paying clients who are fucked up. So we're trying to set these standards and say, hey, look, we don't need all this. We've been functioning here in Massachusetts with this organization, with this network of people. We've been doing it safe. We haven't had any 911 calls. We haven't had people jumping out of windows.
This stuff is real. We also refer people afterwards to licensed professionals. They don't have time to sit with somebody for 6 to 24 hours, you know what I mean? And I can't afford that kind of payment to my therapist, you know, to sit with me for that long. So it would make sense. And we don't need to deplete an already depleted mental health care system. We have people who are already so strung out and don't have room for any more clients. And so we're asking them now to, you know, thin themselves out even more to get all this training so they can specialize in this thing. And in the meantime, the patients that they had are now looking for somebody else. And we need to stop that. We need to just show people that we can all help each other as a community out there, like people in your neighborhood, people in your workplace. Like, we can help each other. We don't have to be specialized people in this. We just need to have compassion and common sense and some just basic understandings of what we're doing.
Yeah, just spot on, exactly. And the risk we run in a system like Oregon's, they're carving out some exemptions for churches. I think churches are amazing. I think this is a really spiritual experience. But that shouldn't be the only modality by which you can access it, because then it'll become a retreat center thing. So you'll have the medicalization model charging $15,000, and then you'll have the retreat model charging several thousand. And that sounds like, yep, Manuela's citing that price. And guess what? When MAPS, if they get FDA approval, those $10,000 trainings are going to be $50,000. Just you wait. So then basically we leave it to become this retreat center thing that's several $1,000s. I think retreat centers are amazing. You know, that's going to serve some people really well. I'm concerned about the average American that is barely making it in this goddamn economy. Like the cost of food, the cost of living, their health insurance, it's hitting us. And that's where, you know, our roots are, is the types of Americans who can't afford a $500 expense that honestly need this care the most. So we're not going to tolerate a system that forces them to have insurance or use their insurance and let insurance inflate the cost. Fuck that. Like, we're going to make this care accessible, and we're already making it accessible. We're not waiting around.
So
Sandy.
Anna and I were kind of discussing this. So this comes up a lot, and I'm looking forward to a network like this to help us choose our ideal clients, I guess we would call it, right? Like, it's one thing when someone comes to me and they're on 0 medications. It's another thing when someone is considering reducing or, you know, completely removing something like Prozac, Klonopin, or an SSRI from their routine and trying, you know, to like sort of replace it. And that right there is where I'm like, I am not a licensed medical professional, you know. So for me to have a network that's not underground, and that's, I think somebody touched on that, is like, I want to be transparent. I want to confidently, you know, when people walk through this door and they're looking for help, I want to serve them by sending them to the right person. I don't necessarily think I'm that right person. This is why it's called a network, right? So again, I think, like, you know, having like Project CBD exists for you know, studies that have come out like about cannabis, right? So like eventually, if we could have more data, more sharing of research, and then people's just experiences, you know, coming off of pharmaceuticals and just hearing more of these stories. But again, who can we refer people to who want to learn about these protocols for safely reducing medications while replacing them with psychedelics? Like, that's where I start to get very nervous. So I'm excited to have more people that are like, I understand this and I know that there's research on this, to be able to refer people to. So it's just very exciting for me.
Or even just like sound healing. Like you know, Leah's heard me play guitar. It's not good. Like, I'm a bad musician, and I want to be able to refer people to know that, who know that modality, who know.
True. That is not true.
Well, thank you. You flatter. But yeah, we want, you know, to create this network because Carol Ann's going to be a much better trip sitter than me for a lot of people, and vice versa. There are so many suffering people. This is not a zero-sum competition for clients. This is mycelium, if you will, that can build out and help each other. And then this is gonna last till about 9 or 8:30. So I do want to preview the next part of the action hour. It is called an action hour for a reason. Bart and Andrew, by the way, thank you for joining us. We're really glad you could make it. So for this part of the action hour, we're gonna change the world together, because there's a lot of talk it's really easy to talk about this stuff, but if the people in power don't hear about it, then none of it gets fixed. They just don't, they'll just say, psilocybin, psilocybin. They actually had to change Denver's measure this last year because they misspelled psilocybin in it. Like, there's just a lot of, I mean, ignorance sounds like it's a bad thing. People are really open. They just need to be educated. They just need to hear about this stuff. So this action part of the hour is one of the most important. It's what's made all of this work possible. So if you all don't mind, I am putting the link to our agenda in the chat. Y'all's agenda is going to be the
Yep, we already
papers.
scanned.
Oh, sick. So can everyone give me a thumbs up when you have the tinyurl.com/BSNM agenda open? Thumbs up from Catherine, awesome. Thumbs up from Leah, awesome.
I got it.
Natalie, awesome. Aaron, awesome. Andrew, hell yeah, nice hat too. Hey Bart. Natalie, you got it? Awesome. So, I am. So some of you have already filed your state bill, right? So that's the first action. If you all scroll to the bottom, there's a series of actions we're going to take together to contact influential people. So does everyone see where it says legalize plant medicine in Massachusetts?
Treatments for addiction and mental health care.
So I just put it in red.
If we've done this, like, is there a limit to how many times we can send these emails?
So Natalie, I'm going to have you move down to the other actions because you've already done that one. Yep. So
Okay,
that's
so you advise that we don't send more than one.
not right now. We'll have you send more later. Don't worry. So if you've not filed the state bill with your state rep, that tool, that link is extremely easy to use. So Abel, so Megan, if you type in your name, your address, your email, it's going to bring you to a form. And basically what I would like you all to do if you haven't filed the state bill is, you know how you told us why you care at the beginning of the call? How this has impacted you or helped someone you love? Channel that energy and just type a few sentences or a paragraph to your state lawmakers about why this matters to you. Because we're going to go up, a group of us is going to go up and talk with them, and we want them to have already read a few stories. So that's the action for tonight. We're going to be here, stay on the call, and let's do it together so you can ask questions. So just show of hands, who has already filed the state bill? Who has already done the state action? So Megan, Jen, Catherine, Aaron, awesome. David. All right, so for those of you that haven't, is that clear? Abel, Sam, Cosmos, Andrew, Manuela, I saw you shaking your head. Can I answer a question on it? Awesome. So that's the action for you all, and then speak up when you're done and let us know that you're done. So
No, I don't know. I'm not, I'm kind of confused.
I can also chat with you offline about it too. I know. That's your words, not mine. It's not true. Many of us are older.
Where is the link to the paper?
For what?
The link for the that we have to fill out. Where is it located?
Yeah, so I went ahead and put it in the chat just now too, just to make it even easier to see. Cool. And then you all saw the other forms, not just the big one. Sandy, there were like 2 other smaller pieces of paper.
Oh, I just gave one to David.
Yeah, so I need you all to do those.
To do that one too.
Yeah, there's 2 of them. Cool.
So do we add our own
bits
to
I
this?
accidentally just hit
Yeah.
these already.
Yeah, so I would just go here and then at the top, and then just say why you care. Yeah. Someone asked a question?
That was me. I'm very sorry.
Hey, Andrew.
Hey, very sorry. I hit send by accident as I'm cooking and
All
doing
good.
this on a phone. If it went uncustomized, is that okay? Should I redo it?
You can redo it if you want. You don't have to, though. There's other actions I also want to tell people about, so you can just move on to those with David, Megan, Jen, Catherine, all the other folks that have already taken that action. So the other one is we're going to thank the Adams. So there's Adam K and there's Adam F in Amherst that have been helping us with those efforts in Amherst, and we just want to thank them for all their hard work. Monday was really depressing to hear this town councilor just say he hadn't heard enough when we've had hundreds of people reach out. Frankly, it's ridiculous. But we're going to be really patient with him and contact him tonight as well. But if you click that link, it pops open. It should pop open if you have email installed on your phone or computer. It should just pop up an automatic email to the Adams. Say what it means to them, thank them a little bit, send them some love, so that we can keep morale high. Does that make sense? All right. And then the last action is Mr. Steinberg. So Mr. Steinberg is the city councilor in Amherst who wanted more information about what this means for people. So just let him know, and especially mention those credentials, because that's what he said was his concern, is he hadn't heard enough from professionals. We've had Harvard doctors, like therapists, law enforcement reach out to him, but it'll just be super useful to hit that send as well, and mention your credentials if you do have one, if you're a therapist, if you worked, and if you're not, feel free to just tell your story too. You can do that as well. Awesome. And thank you for sticking on the call to do that together. We've heard from a lot of amazing people today, so let it motivate you to make this change. Really appreciate it.
So I just sign and,
Yeah, so Manuela,
I'm on the ladder, so I just sign it and put my credentials and
I don't know which one you're looking at, so
I am looking at the one for Representatives Moody Benally and Adam Hines.
fantastic.
I think I just signed on.
Yeah,
I
so
think I did.
in the text at the bottom, I'll actually share my screen to make it a little easier even. One sec. So I'm sharing my screen. So this is the tool, right? So Manuela, what you're probably seeing is you just said James, blah, 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 blah. Start writing. And then it says customize your message. So you scroll down here.
Yeah, that's where I am.
Perfect. So what I recommend doing is just at the top saying my name, or like,
Okay.
my name is Manuela.
I write letters to people.
Yeah. No, you got it. And I would really flex those credentials too, because that helps out a ton.
I'll do that. Thank you.
Of course.
And then I can do the one for the other one that you mentioned.
Yeah, so
Amherst.
those ones below, the thank you Adams, and then the thank you, the email to Counselor Steinberg, if you click on that, it's not the same tool as this, but it's going to pre-populate an email in your normal email tool that you use. And then you just type out basically the same thing that you just did to your state lawmaker. You can really just apply the same stuff.
Okay.
Awesome. How's it coming with you all?
Good, your
Thank you
link
so much for your help.
Oh,
It's nice to meet
It
you.
wasn't working.
so you know what I did is just typed it in.
And Bart, thank you for joining too. I really appreciate it. Didn't get to hear from you earlier. You came a little late, but that's okay. We can't hear you because you're muted too.
There you go. I was trying to unmute there. I just found it. So I will have to do this later because I have a rather long story to be sharing.
Sure.
So I have the link. I have it on my phone, and I'll send it over to my computer later.
And Bart, since you didn't RSVP for the meeting, which is totally fine, would you mind either messaging us or emailing the team page so we can stay in touch with you too?
Okay, definitely. I received the email. Well, I actually did receive the link through an email from you guys.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Then I'm probably
I'm already there as Bart_Boston at Outlook.com.
What is it again?
Bart_Boston.
You got it.
At Outlook.com.
Got it. Cool. Yeah, I'll make sure that we don't lose that. But that's totally fine. If you want to send those emails later, I'll follow up with you. You said Bart_Boston at Outlook, so I'll send you these same tools to take care of later. It looks like you're on a nice hike, so hope you just enjoy that.
I got home late from showing property and I had to walk the dogs now, so I'm now going inside to feed them, and then I'm going to listen a little more attentively.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good.
All right, I'll mute for a second.
Sure.
I'll mute for a second. Thank you.
I'm gonna take some time to really write mine too.
Yeah, I'll try to be on it. Oh yeah, we do have this.
James, I can't, I can only view this thing.
Which one?
The one that we're signing our names at the bottom for that, the representative in Amherst.
You can only view it?
Yeah.
It won't let you edit on your phone. Is anyone else having that issue?
I can't even get into it.
For Counselor Steinberg?
The email into my, the second one.
Where's that piece of paper?
I'll just try after this on my computer.
Well, here's what I'm going to do, because we do need, it is a super important email. I'm going to put his email in the chat, and then people can just send, just make it clear you're talking about the Amherst decriminalization measure. And then CC team at baystatersnm.com.
Okay, so I can just keep this. Right?
Yeah, you can.
Just type in.
Was this not working?
It wasn't
Yeah,
working
my
great, but I
phone-
just typed it in. I
can't even get into
Oh,
the
it's
email
not two
chain.
G's. It's one G. So just like this. Oh, are you not on the network?
I don't know. I'm not on any network anymore. So I just gave a presentation talking about laws on plant medicine and more people. Like more studies, more people doing things like this so that we can see that it's working, so that there's studies.
I know. I want to be part of a study. I'm telling you, my brain. I don't want it. Let's see. I don't know why we're having trouble on your
I know, my
Oh,
phone
wait, open
doesn't
mail.
work.
No, that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed
Okay.
to open your mail. Maybe because Yahoo be blocking it. See, it opened my mail.
Because
my iMail
using
app.
Google Meets or whatever this is.
I can
Google
cut and
Meets.
paste it and just text it to
It's
Okay.
knocking out my Wi-Fi, so I'm gonna
Yeah, 'cause then
this
I'll
after
just-
the call's over
Cool.
and send him full Wi-Fi power, baby. It's gonna go
Sure.
out right.
Sure.
Andy.
So Andy, could I get your email? Because I'm gonna send the tools to you and Bart after.
I'm gonna eat.
Yeah, honestly, I just made a sick, shop G. So I'm gonna be sitting down in a moment to dine. Came back from a T-ball show, a T-ball game. Kids in the tub right now. So I'm like fairly soon anyway. So send them to me. Sandy's my sister over there.
Wait, do you watch T-ball on TV?
No, his kid.
No, I have a 5-year-old daughter.
I was like, that's a red flag.
Yeah, right.
That's awesome. It's nice meeting you. What's your email, Andrew?
Squid with eagle wings at gmail.com.
One more time.
Squid with eagle wings.
I love you.
I love you too, Sandy. I'll see you soon.
Have a good night.
Gmail,
Thanks for
at
popping
Gmail.
on.
That's right, yep.
All right.
Oh my goodness,
I'll see you, Andrew. Thank you.
Bye. That was great.
I like your Google Meet name, Carol Ann. Spirit Well Sensory Lounge. That sounds really cool. So did it pop up?
It did for me, so I emailed it to you, Charlene. Did you get the email?
And
It's really nice.
flex those credentials.
It's really
Credentials.
I don't have any credentials. I'm
That you
unlicensed
own a
everything.
wellness center.
Okay.
That you own a wellness center.
An educational resource center.
And have helped, thousands of people. I'm a small business owner. Just credential yourself. You know?
Okay. I put in my yoga credentials. Nice.
Okay, so what is the email address?
Yeah, so it is Steinberg. So STEINBERG capital A at symbol Amherst, so AMHERST MA.gov.
Okay, James, now what's the next one?
So you just did the State Bill one,
Yeah.
Manuela? Awesome, thank you so much. The second one is if you are on that document, and if not, I can actually just copy and paste the link to the.
No, I can go back. So much crap. I'm back. I have a lot of things. I have a lot of windows open on my computer.
I'm sure. So
yes,
it
I'm on
says.
the document. I have the.
So I just put it in green. It says thank the Adams. So there, it's just like send them some love. If you type in that URL into your phone, it should auto-populate an email, and just send it doesn't have to be super complicated for that one. Just a few words of encouragement, just to bring up their day. And then the one underneath that, it's the same process, Manuela. You type in that URL, and it should pop up your email automatically. That one's not that it's more important, it's just really flex your therapist's credentials. Just give them the whole, I'm an expert in your own way, because that's really helpful with that town councilor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, Megan. Oh, did she already leave? Yeah, she already left. All right.
Okay.
Also, if anyone wants a team pick, that can help us, and we're always updating our materials too. So, if anyone objects to a picture, speak now, and you will be left out of the photo. But I think it would be good to get a team photo in a little bit too. But I want to give. Oh, I'm muted. No one can even fucking hear me. That's fine.
It's been a long day.
No one was was excited about this team photo, and it's because they literally can't hear what I'm saying.
Unmute yourself.
We could also just get one here. That's even better. It's just in person, you know.
Whatever you want to do.
Let's do that.
We could cram into this screen and then just do the screenshot if we can get people back.
You know what I think I want to do is I want to get a screenshot
Yeah.
of everyone here and then put the real life people in the middle.
Oh, okay. Stan's a whiz at Photoshop. He can make anything happen.
This has been one of the most successful action hours.
Oh, good.
For real though. This is great.
Awesome.
This is our first foray into doing it in person and online, so it's going to be a challenge for sure.